Have you ever wondered how your cuts of meat go from farm to table with precision, quality, and efficiency? In this modern era, the meat processing industry has undergone a remarkable transformation.
Farmers have suffered for more than a year now, and why some are now looking for alternative ways to reach customers.
Embracing advanced technologies to revolutionize how we produce and process meat products. In this video, we'll discuss the latest advances and innovations in beef processing and slaughtering. Meat processing plants are also getting in on the action, but they need to catch up with the lightning-fast advancements seen elsewhere. Do you know how AI, automation, and robots are changing various industries? Well, experts are saying that the meat processing business could use some technology too.
A large section of the industry has the very deep pockets. They can out-lobby the small side.
It could help deal with worker shortages, make food safer, and keep the competition in check with things like plant-based proteins. You won't believe what companies are up to these days, using robots to help lift large animal carcasses in their facilities, stacking and shifting boxes for delivery, and even optimizing how they load trucks. Also, companies have started putting sensors on their trucks to keep tabs on temperature and humidity as they transport cows from the farm to the processing spot. This technology makes a real difference by boosting animal welfare and ensuring the quality of meat stays the best. The meat processing scene has always been challenging on the labor front. Finding workers to fill those spots is like a never-ending battle. The job usually pays little, and cutting meat every day isn't anyone's dream job if we are being sincere. When COVID-19 first came, meat processing plants got hit.
All the facilities now are back in operation with new safety measures in place, but the virus has sent a shudder through the industry.
With workers practically rubbing elbows all day, the virus spread like wildfire. It really puts a spotlight on just how much these places depend on their employees. So many plants had to shut down, messing with the meat supply and making prices shoot up at the grocery store. Some people in the industry think that technology is the golden ticket to ease labor stress. Then, others picture robots lending a hand to workers instead of taking over their jobs. With work being made easy within the factory, how are these products transported safely to the consumers? Livestock products make up over 15% of all the agri-foods traded worldwide. With the global hunger for food on the rise, the pressure is to keep things safe. That means improving food quality, perfecting cold chain logistics, and finding better ways to preserve meaty goods. Food safety officials track meat from the farm to your plate, but traditional supply chains often hide this by playing with paperwork. When there's a safety problem, fixing it and recalling food can be really expensive and complicated. Then this is where traceability-driven food supply chain management comes in. They use technology and blockchain tracking. Blockchain ensures that your meat journey from farm to plate is clean. Implementing this technology isn't an easy thing to achieve. We're talking about needing loads of training and brainpower to get everyone on board, from the farmers to the consumers. Plus, navigating the legal and regulatory is another stress entirely. Now, when it comes to meat, we're talking about serious business. From hormones to antibiotics, there's a lot to watch out for, like adulteration, microbial organisms, and even heavy metals hidden inside. How the animals are handled and what temperatures they're exposed to can make or break the safety of the meat. Stress during transport, illnesses during pre-slaughter, and mishandling during processing increase microbial activity. That's where blockchain and sensors come into play, helping to monitor everything in real time to ensure top-notch safety and quality. It's a win-win for everyone, boosting productivity, profits, and peace of mind. Every step of its journey is tracked, from when an animal is born to when the meat meets your plate at the local store. We're talking about details like breeding, nutrition, health, processing, packaging, and even how it gets to the store shelf. Nowadays, people aren't just interested in what's in their food. They want to know its whole life story. That's where food integrity and transparency come into play. By keeping tabs on all this information in real time, we can speed up the supply chain and put the brakes on food fraud. But traditional traceability systems, whether they're online or paper-based, can be vulnerable. There's always the risk of data tampering by supervisors or middlemen. And that's why we need the blockchain offering up an ironclad online system that's immune to tampering. With a food traceability system on the blockchain platform, you've got yourself a safe way to collect data and keep an eye on livestock products as they make their way through the supply chain. No more waiting around for a company's or business partner's green light to get your hands on product information. It's all right there, accessible in real time, no questions asked. Getting the meat safe is one thing, and consuming rich meat is another, so what does it entail? Talking about beef quality and quantity matters big time. They're the ones calling the shots when it comes to beef prices and what consumers buy. So, what makes beef top-notch? It's all about marbling, the chemical makeup, and how it tastes and feels in your mouth. A lot of things come into play to access beef quality, like genetics, how the cattle are managed, and what they digest into their systems. That's why countries like Korea, Japan, the USA, and Australia have their beef grading systems to keep things standardized for trading. In the world of beef, marbling, the fat within the muscle, is important. It's what gives that exceptional goodness, especially in Korean Hanwoo and Japanese black cattle. To boost beef quality, you have to discuss the fats in it. That's where tools like transcriptomics, proteomics, and nutrigenomics come in. Nutrigenomics is like the boss of genetics and nutrition, working together to bring out the best in beef cattle. Moving on, let's talk about meat color. It's the first thing we notice, right? That's why it's a big deal for us consumers when we're picking out our meats. When we're at the store, we can't exactly peek inside the packaging to check out the quality, so we rely on that bright cherry red color to tell us if the meat's fresh and tasty. If the color's off, though, it's a red flag for us. Myoglobin, hemoglobin, and cytochromes, all those proteins, are responsible for giving meat its color, with myoglobin taking center stage. And we've even got a whole system for measuring it, the lab system, which breaks down the meat's lightness, redness, and yellowness. The exciting part is that the beef color isn't just about genetics and age. It's affected by all sorts of things, like what the animals eat, how they're slaughtered, and even how long the meat's been sitting around. Have you ever noticed how grass-fed beef has a bit more yellow tint than grain-fed beef? It's all because of the beta-carotene present in the pasture. And if you're into antioxidants, you'll be glad to know that vitamin E can help keep beef looking and tasting top-notch by boosting its lipid and color stability. Marbling is the secret sauce for excellent meat quality and ruminants because it gives meat that delicious flavor and juiciness we all crave. But the type of fat in meat is also a big deal for our health. So scientists have been digging into this juicy topic for years. Nutrigenomics is very important in meat production. By studying how our diet affects our genes, we're unlocking the secrets behind marbling and the fatty acid profile in meat. And all this knowledge isn't just for show. It's opening up a whole new world of possibilities for the livestock industry. With a better understanding of how genes affect meat quality, we can start using specific substances and chemicals to give our beef, lamb, and other meats that extra level of care. Plus, nutritionists can get in on the action too, making feed and additives to dial up the gene expression that makes meat taste so good. With all these being said, let's talk about how the meat industry is sustained. Keeping meat processing factories running smoothly is very important. Energy efficiency isn't just about saving money, it's also about doing our part for the planet. These factories have a lot going on, such as refrigeration, heating, and ventilation, all of which consume energy like there's no tomorrow. If we want to work on those energy bills and reduce our carbon footprint, we have to be smart about how we do things. Take refrigeration, for example. It's essential for keeping our meat fresh, but it consumes a lot of electricity, so it's actually better to swap out the old-school compressors for energy-efficient ones. We save energy and keep our meat just as fresh, and then heating and ventilation. They can be energy consumers too. By switching to energy-efficient heating systems and tricks like heat recovery, we can reduce energy bills without sacrificing anything. Upgrading the machinery to energy-efficient models and adding gadgets like automated controls can squeeze even more savings out of the factory. With real-time energy monitoring systems, we can keep tabs on our usage, catch any wasteful habits, and stop them. Long story short, going green isn't just good for the planet, it's good for business too. By embracing energy-efficient practices and technologies, meat processing factories can save money, reduce their environmental footprint, and stay ahead of the competition. Moving on, waste reduction in meat processing factories is another sustainable practice. These places are always bustling, so every little bit counts, but they can also generate a ton of waste if we're not careful. Luckily, there are some techniques we can use to cut down on all that excess. First up, let's talk about waste sorting and recycling. Think of it like separating your trash at home, but on a much bigger scale. By sorting out things like packaging materials and scraps, we can send them off to be recycled or reused instead of ending up in the landfill. Next, we've got waste minimization techniques. This is all about finding ways to produce less waste in the first place. It could be something as simple as changing the processes to generate fewer scraps or finding alternative uses for byproducts. For example, some factories might turn leftover animal parts into pet food or fertilizer instead of throwing them out. Then, there's waste-to-energy technology. This is where all those leftover bits and pieces are taken and turned into power. We eliminate waste and generate electricity or heat to power the factory. And last, there's the reduce, reuse, and recycle. We can drastically reduce our waste output by cutting back on unnecessary packaging, reusing materials wherever possible, and recycling what we can't reuse. Moving on, instead of relying solely on fossil fuels and other non-renewable sources, these factories are turning to Earth for help. Take solar power, for example. By nailing some solar panels on their rooftops, factories can absorb all that sunshine and turn it into clean electricity. And let's remember wind power. Some factories are harnessing wind power by installing wind turbines nearby. But it's not just about generating power, it's also about being smart with it. That's where energy-efficient technologies come into play. From LED lighting to high-efficiency machinery, these factories squeeze every last drop of energy out of their operations. And the best part is that going green doesn't mean sacrificing production standards. It's quite the opposite. By embracing renewable resources and energy-efficient practices, factories can maintain high production standards while minimizing their environmental impact. Think about it. These factories can bring out top-quality goods with cleaner energy, powering their operations without leaving a big carbon footprint behind. It's a win-win for everyone: the planet, the factory, and consumers. How these meats are preserved is vital, because anything done outside the proper way would result in issues for consumers. So how are they being preserved? Imagine a giant pressure cooker that uses a lot of pressure instead of heat. Meat is sealed in a particular container and subjected to pressures up to 87,000 pounds per square inch, PSI. That's like being squeezed by an elephant. This intense pressure kills off bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens hiding in the meat, making it safe to eat without needing heat or chemicals. But the best part is that high-pressure processing, HPP, doesn't just kill off harmful microorganisms. It also preserves the nutrients we need in it. Unlike traditional methods like heat pasteurization, which can take the flavor and nutrients out of meat, HPP keeps everything intact. That means meat stays juicy, tender, and flavorful, just like it should be. Plus, HPP is versatile. It works on all kinds of meat, from beef and chicken to seafood and deli meats. And because it's a cold process, it's perfect for preserving raw or minimally processed meats without cooking them. However, the HPP is also flourishing with health-conscious consumers. Since it doesn't rely on heat or chemicals, it's seen as a more natural way to preserve meat. That means no artificial additives or preservatives, just pure, fresh meat. High-pressure processing is revolutionizing the world of meat preservation. With its ability to kill off bacteria, preserve flavor and nutrients, and keep things natural, it's no wonder this technique is taking the meat industry by storm. HPP isn't just the only preservation technique. We also have advanced packaging solutions. They have revolutionized how meat is preserved, ensuring freshness and quality are maintained throughout its shelf life. It has two notable techniques: vacuum-sealed bags and modified atmosphere packaging.
Test bottles all prepped and ready to go into the machine. 87,000 PSI is what they're going to be subjected to.
These techniques have emerged as frontrunners in this arena, providing optimal conditions for meat preservation. Vacuum sealing involves removing air from the packaging before sealing it tightly around the meat. By eliminating oxygen, the culprit behind meat spoilage, vacuum-sealed bags create an oxygen-free environment that inhibits the growth of aerobic bacteria and fungi. This effectively extends the shelf life of meat products, keeping them fresher for longer periods of time. Plus, vacuum-sealed bags prevent moisture loss, preserving the juiciness and tenderness of the meat. This is particularly beneficial for high-quality cuts of meat, as it helps maintain their texture and flavor. Additionally, vacuum sealing reduces the risk of freezer burn, ensuring that frozen meats retain their quality during storage. Then, to the other technique, the modified atmosphere packaging. MAP takes meat preservation to the next level by controlling the atmosphere within the packaging to create an optimal environment for freshness. This is achieved by replacing the air inside the packaging with a specific gas mixture, typically a combination of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and sometimes oxygen. The gas mixture is carefully chosen to inhibit microbial growth while maintaining the desired color and texture of the meat. Nitrogen is often used to displace oxygen, reducing oxidative spoilage, while carbon dioxide helps inhibit the growth of spoilage bacteria and molds. In some cases, a small amount of oxygen may be introduced to preserve the natural color of the meat. MAP offers several advantages for meat preservation. It extends the shelf life of meat products by slowing down microbial growth and enzymatic reactions. Additionally, MAP helps preserve the visual appeal of the meat, preventing discoloration and maintaining its fresh appearance. Overall, advanced packaging solutions like vacuum-sealed bags and MAP have transformed meat preservation, ensuring consumers can enjoy high-quality, fresh meat products for longer periods of time. By creating the perfect environment for meat to stay in, these packaging techniques extend shelf life and enhance the overall eating experience by locking in that fresh flavor we all love. And let's remember the rise of natural preservatives. Instead of loading meat with artificial additives, some innovative producers turn to natural alternatives like vinegar, salt, and spices to keep things fresh. The best part is that these cutting-edge methods aren't just about extending shelf life, but also about preserving quality. That means meat stays juicy, tender, and delicious, even after sitting on the shelf for a while. And with consumers demanding healthier, more natural options, these innovative techniques are the best option. Thanks to high-pressure processing, advanced packaging solutions, and natural preservatives, meat preservation has never been cooler. It has allowed meat to stay fresh and tasty for longer, all while keeping us happy and healthy. Another cutting-edge method used in meat preservation is irradiation.
Radiation everywhere. It's coming down from the cosmos. It's coming from our own bodies, which have carbon-14 and potassium-40.
Irradiation involves exposing meat products to ionizing radiation, typically gamma rays, X-rays, or electron beams, to kill bacteria, parasites, and other pathogens, as well as to inhibit the growth of spoilage organisms. During irradiation, energy from the radiation interacts with molecules in the meat, disrupting their DNA and cellular structure. This effectively kills bacteria such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria, reducing the risk of foodborne illness associated with consuming contaminated meat. Irradiation has several advantages as a meat preservation method.
And exposes food to radiation in order to kill harmful bacteria and parasites, so food is safer to eat and stays fresher longer.
It can extend the shelf life of meat products by reducing the microbial load, thereby delaying spoilage and reducing food waste. Additionally, irradiation does not significantly alter the taste, texture, or nutritional content of the meat, making it more acceptable to consumers compared to some other preservation methods. Furthermore, irradiation can be used to preserve meat at room temperature, eliminating the need for refrigeration or freezing during storage and transportation. This can result in cost savings and increased flexibility in distribution, particularly in regions with limited access to cold storage facilities. Despite its benefits, irradiation does have some limitations and considerations. The equipment required for irradiation can be expensive to install and operate, which may limit its adoption by smaller meat processors. Additionally, consumer perception and acceptance of irradiated meat products vary, with some concerns regarding safety and potential negative health effects. Regulatory approval and labeling requirements for irradiated meat products also vary between countries, which can affect market access and consumer trust. Nonetheless, ongoing research and advancements in irradiation technology, as well as efforts to educate consumers about its safety and benefits, are likely to contribute to its increased use in the meat processing industry.